Okay, sounds good.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right, thank you all for coming. Why don't we go ahead and get started with the town board work session today, March 27th. With that, I will call to order. Is everybody, we're all here? Okay, yep. Supervisor LaFountain and Councilman Rob Quinn are out of town today, so they will not be joining us. So it'll be just the three of us. I'll go ahead with the approval of minutes for February 27th.
I'll move. Second.
Moved in second. And with the move in second, I assume that the vote will be unanimous, 3-0 for the approval. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Monthly reports. I have no monthly reports from the supervisor. Going to agenda item number 4, public hearings. There are no public hearings this evening for this meeting. Moving to agenda item number 5, guests. Go ahead, Dr. Greg Merkley.
Come on up.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. We have with us tonight Dr. Greg Merkley. He's been here before. He was approved for his building on April 5th, 2017. Everything seems to be moving along fairly quickly, and I think that you're getting ready for your C vote. You already haven't gotten it?
Nope, we're waiting on that. Should be a couple days now.
It was just a small punch list that had to be resolved. The reason he is here tonight is, if you remember, and I think I sent this off to everybody, Dr. Merkley had a sign on the property identifying Bangs Hair Salon, and he was good enough to agree at the board's request to allow that to continue to be in place to provide identification for Bangs at the intersection. Bangs did take that sign down during construction, and they currently have it on their property, and I'm wondering if they want to keep it on their property or move it back, but he's given the approval to do it. In your conditions of approval, number 12, it was stated that the applicant should be responsible for compliance for submitting a sign package for the site to be approved by the Town Board and Historic Preservation Board. The applicant will be responsible for any and all costs associated with modification to the existing freestanding sign on the site, which identifies the Bangs Salon and Spa. In addition, the applicant will submit a recordable agreement permitting Bangs Salon and Spa to continue to have a freestanding sign on the site so long as the business remains in operation. So I think what we need to do probably for you is to talk to her to see if she wants to keep it on site or keep it on her property. He's really here tonight to show you his designs for his property, and if she wants to keep it on his property, he will agree to that.
There's not shared parking, is there?
There is shared parking.
There is shared.
Yeah, that was all
same
one
parking
property
lot,
at one time.
Right.
And he's already submitted cross-parking and access
Okay.
agreements. His attorneys have prepared those, and he
Right.
signed those off, and I think they're all recorded and everything's in
I mean,
place.
that could be a logic to have a sign together if it's the same parking, but that's.
Well, it gets confusing
Up
though,
to her.
because the sign's isolated from the parking area, because the parking area is on the west side of the property, the sign's on the east side. But in any event, he is proposing a the freestanding sign with or without Bangs if she does not want to be there. He's also proposing a wall-mounted sign on the Liberty Street side. He's entitled to 57 square feet total. That sign is 35 square feet, and what he would eventually like to do is take his existing sign, which is similar in nature to these colors, and then place that on the front. That's 10 square feet, so that would give him 45 square feet, which is 12 square feet less than what he's entitled to by code.
Sounds
So
good.
if everybody's comfortable, the
Yeah.
signage, and if you remember, and I think you both made the comments, when they first came in with their renderings of the building, they actually had placed signage on the building, and the signage really did not look great. It looked like an old
Saloon.
saloon, exactly. I
That's
think
what I
Tony
heard.
made that comment, if I'm not
Historic
mistaken.
saloon.
So this is I think a much greater design. The other thing you should know, I'm looking for your input tonight, because I'm going to take that input to the Historic Preservation Board on the 4th of April. Certainly, I mean, I'm looking for some input as to whether you like it or don't like it, because then I would relay that to the board to see what their thoughts are, which I will do. So,
I have no objection to it, the size or the style.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
fine moving
I think it's a
forward.
great improvement, and it's in keeping with a lot of what he's already had out there, which both boards have approved previously, so I think he's in pretty good shape. I will convey your comments to the Historic Preservation Board. We'll talk about that with them on the 4th. Greg will appear as well. And after that point in time, I'll get a letter back to each of you identifying where the boards were on both cases.
All
When do
right.
you think your building will be done?
As soon as I get the C of O, we're right 95% done. We're just making some minor changes. Andy came in, made some recommendations. We've kind of made those changes, and we're just kind of waiting for him to kind of put the final stamp on it. So as soon as he does that, 2 weeks.
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Jim, any other legislative action on this matter at this point, or is
No,
it just
no, other than the fact
confirming the sign?
that we will talk to the Lady Banks and find out what her preference is.
Okay.
If she prefers to keep the sign on her property, then that's fine. If she doesn't, then we will prepare some kind of a document to be recorded, so.
She has a sign on her building.
She does?
Yes.
Yeah, you approved a sign for her building as well, so.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we accept the proposed signage.
I second.
Okay. Motion and seconded, so that will be approved.
Yeah,
And
subject,
we'll
yeah,
turn it over
subject
to
to the
you.
Historic Preservation Board
Correct.
agreeing with your thoughts.
Yep. Doctor, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for
Good
your
luck.
time. Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, moving on to number B, Brittany T. Hi, welcome.
Brittany's here this evening on behalf of RG&E. They were requesting, I've kind of included the original request letter, some aerial photos to kind of orient you, and then on the last page kind of shows the easement they're asking for. They're asking for an expansion, or they're asking for an easement on our property next to the Gentles Farm Market up on Penfield Road. We've owned that property for a number of years. They have some gas infrastructure that's right on the edge of the sidewalk. And actually, the sidewalk had to go around it.
There's
to
a jog on the
accommodate that.
sidewalk around it to make it fit.
So they're asking for an easement to move that back, and I can let Brittany talk about that and explain more of the detail of what they're looking for.
So just real quick question, is there any reason why we should not do this?
Nope, we bought this with open space money, so we did already research if there was any restrictions on buying with open space money.
Right.
We checked with Doug Fox, he said there was no issue. We checked with Dick Horowitz, he said there was no issue, so we're not creating any problems with granting an easement. There's no restrictions on the development of the lot or anything else with it. They're looking to move the infrastructure. We've got a kink in the sidewalk. So our thoughts is if they can move that infrastructure back, put in the hot boxes they're showing, then the sidewalk will be realigned, and that may be something that RG&E could remove and replace the sidewalk to straighten that out as in exchange for the granting of the easement. If you want to talk about the.
Yeah, so Mark pretty much covered it, that's what we're looking to do. The area we're in isn't optimal, so we're looking to rebuild. So I was thinking get it back out of the right of way, we can straighten out the sidewalk, and it gives us more room to do maintenance, and it would be better, I don't know, for the town as well to straighten out the sidewalk, I would imagine.
And I guess that's where my next question would be is what do you see between the three of you, the community benefit of the town doing this?
It'd make it a lot easier for snow and ice removal for our sidewalk tractors, given that we do plow that section of sidewalk in winter. Because there is existing, gas infrastructure there, they do have kind of a bollard guardrail along the edge of the sidewalk. It's really not very appealing. It's older, there's a little bit of rust on it. So as we've kind of talked, RG&E would be willing to pull that out, put the enclosed structure, it's stainless steel, so it would never need to be painted, never need to, have any maintenance to it. The way it looks now is how it will look, in years to come. They'd be willing to pull out the sidewalk, straighten that, realign it, so that it's a straight through for our sidewalk tractors, and it'd make my parks guys a lot happier.
Okay.
Is this a type of structure that could have some like shrubbery around it or some sort of?
As long as we can still open the doors fully to maintain it, yeah, we can look at putting
Because
some.
it reminds me of what was put in at the corner of, by the Episcopal Church, the corner of 5-mile line and where.
That was a different story, but that's a good point to bring up, because at one point, they were gonna put a hot box on that corner, and because it was in the historic district, the historic board requested that they not do that, and they actually went back into a vault underground, so it's a different situation.
And there's stuff that's already there, sticking up above ground, it would just essentially be enclosing it.
And the RG&E was willing at that point in time, when you and I were listening to them, they were willing to also landscape if they had to, as
Right.
long as they could, it was still functional, they didn't have any
Yep,
obstructions to it.
exactly,
I
yeah.
tried to provide a perspective in the one photo. That's the closest neighbor that's to it. This is, you own the land, there's nothing on the Gentles farm area that's open. And then the neighbor closest to it, you know, is pretty buffered by that.
It's more just visually from
Yeah.
Old Penfield Road there and the, you know, what you're used to seeing. And is there a little sign there that says Gentles?
It's the opposite side of the property up, kind of tucked up to the pines.
Pictures in here.
Yeah, the location I chose was to try to tuck it into the pines, so you'd really only see it from
here.
one,
I think that-
approaching from one
Farm
direction,
market sign,
and
I
if you
think
had
is-
hidden by the pines,
Yeah.
Yeah, the
No.
spot they're looking to place it
Yeah,
is-
I don't think it's it would be necessary to have it be a condition in terms of the buffering, but I just would like that to be, you know, considered, or perhaps after the fact even, you know, if we need to revisit in that regard. But I wouldn't hold it up because of that.
Right. Makes sense to me.
Okay.
I move that
See
we.
if anyone comes back and questions.
Right.
And go from there.
Yeah.
You could put a couple arborvitae's just on the approach side. This side is well buffered, there's no one behind it that's gonna care, and you gotta be able to
No.
open the doors in the front. So,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, you could place
No, I don't think it's a biggie.
3 or 4 arborvitae's if
yeah.
Yeah.
it became a big issue or
Yeah.
something, just kind of on
I
the...
wouldn't want to,
on the westbound
make
side.
it force a condition on them of that.
I like to at least straighten out our sidewalk though, and for those reasons Eric gave.
Yeah,
That's a positive.
and that's something we can definitely do, that wouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay.
So I would move that we approve moving, overall, approve RG&E moving their utilities, so for that reason that we would be able to straighten out our sidewalk for better maintenance of the sidewalks during the winter months.
So we're granting an easement,
Yes.
right?
And I'll work with council to, they provided some language, I'll make sure Dick's happy with that.
I'll second that.
Okay, so there's a move and a second, so that will be approved 3-0, unless I hear anyone against. So Mark, real quick, next steps on that, does it go to a resolution?
We probably should formalize it with a resolution, so I'll follow up with
Yeah.
that, basically authorizing the supervisor to enter in the
Okay.
easement agreement, and then Horowitz will, you know, review
Right.
the documentation they provided and we'll work on getting that filed.
Sounds
All
good.
right, I'll let you do what you need to do in drafting that resolution.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming, appreciate your
you.
time. Okay, moving to letter C, Paul Haybeck, request for a grade and fill permit at 1740 Salt Road. How are you doing, sir?
Good, how are you today?
Good, thank you for coming. Tell us what's going on.
Well, I've lived in an area for about 35 years, built 2 houses over right around there, and I want to stay there. So I bought a house across from Sweetsview Drive where I live now, with 10 acres, which I'm going to split. And Scott Rothfuss is going to buy the house next door. And I'm going to take, there's 10 acres there, I'm going to take the other 5-acre lot, which used to be 2 lots originally, I'm going to build a new house there. So I want to bring that front of that 5-acre lot up some because it doesn't drain very well. And the water kind of lays there. And, you know, if I have to, I'll put some green tile in as well. And I believe Scott's going to want to do the same thing next door down the road, but that'll be after we get ours filled in because I'm going to be supplying the dirt pretty much. I own a pool company, we dig about 150 in-ground pools a year, so I have access to a lot of dirt. We truck a lot, so we're going to use that. So the soil's not coming from some contaminated area,
Right,
it's coming
right.
from backyards in the local region, Penfield, Webster, Walworth, areas like that.
So he currently has an application pending before the planning board to split the 2 lots. So
Got
take
it.
the subdivision piece, he'll eventually have to come back, do an admin for a house application, but just in the short term, without having that site plan application, you know, he's requested about 2,000 yards to go on the front. Kind of was the aerial view from other side, you can kind of see the belly in the property there a little bit. We've taken a look at it, you know, the property naturally drains to the front. And if you bring it up enough that it continues to drain to the front, but it just wouldn't set in the lot. There's drainage along
Yeah.
the side of the road on
There's been
Salt
some problems
Road.
in that area generally, I know, drainage-wise.
Yep. So, you know, if the board's comfortable, you know, we'd process the application for the grade and fill permit, and we'd work with him to, you know, make sure proper erosion control was maintained on the site, and
Just
we're not
the
checking mud
usual, the
out.
standard.
There's a little curb cut there
Requirements.
already for the farm field that's utilized, so I'm
Yeah,
assuming
we're-
you're using that in and out, and
As soon as we got your okay, you know, I'm gonna put a road in so that we won't track mud all over the place. We're used to that stuff because we're in and out of yards every day, so.
So anything unusual about this one? I know I'm familiar with the area.
No.
I know there was some
just the size of
drainage
the amount
improvements.
of cubic yardage puts it over kind of our normal limit, you know, a smaller amount. We grant those administratively, being 2,000 yards, but being on a 5-acre parcel, you know, it's nominal over the size of the parcel, but that just kind of tripped our
Yeah. Okay.
normal to come to the board.
And it sounds like you have the fill readily available, so you can do it quickly and
Well,
continuously.
I don't want to call it real quickly, it'll be over the course of the summer, you
Okay.
know.
Couple
But we'll
months.
keep grading it, we're not going to make it look like a nightmare. I mean, I walk out my garage right now and look across, outside of my garage, and I'm looking right at that lot, so, you know, I don't want it to look bad either. So
Sure.
we'll be grading it, you know, from time to time, we won't let it
Okay.
linger, you know.
I'll make a motion to grant the request for the permit with the usual conditions.
I second that.
All right, we've got a move and a second, so that will be a 3-0 vote in favor. And Mark, next steps?
We just need to process the grade and fill permit. I'll verify whether, you know, Paul has paid his permit fee or not. We'll grant that, and then we'll work with him to, you know, the process that he's going through to, you know, get the fill in and, you know, maintain some erosion control on the site, so.
Okay, no additional legislative action?
No, we
Okay.
don't typically do a resolution for these. It's just the grade and fill permit process.
Okay. All right, anything else on this matter?
No, that's
Good? Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. I don't
Appreciate
know
it.
if I paid that permit yet.
I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
Take care, have a good night.
Good night.
All right, moving to agenda item 6.
You can take it if you want.
Action items, request for outdoor live music at Murphy's Lot, 1400 Empire Boulevard. Jim?
Thank you, Andy. On March 6th, John Diamantopoulos, sorry, I butchered.
Diamantopoulos.
Diamantopoulos. And I know how to say it.
It's okay. I thought I would get it right either.
Diamantopoulos.
John D.
Johnny D. came to the town for public hearing. He was requesting the ability to have live music, generally on Friday and Saturdays from 5 to 10, and on some Sunday afternoons. He said at no time would music be played past 10 p.m. He'd also like to have the opportunity to provide music on weekdays for holiday events and special events. He noted there would be minimal amplification on the site, and he's sensitive to the neighbors' concerns. And he would have his staff monitor sound levels during those types of events to ensure that they're not going to be an impact to the neighbors. He indicated that he'd like to do it between April and September, but more probably from May to Labor Day would be more appropriate. So I did share with him the resolution of approval that you did for the K2 Brewery. I think well, I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but it was pretty much standard in terms of the same kinds of things that they wanted, that he wants. And if anybody needs a copy of this, I'd be more than happy to share it for you.
John, did that provide you what you needed in terms of what they're doing at K2? Is that acceptable?
I think so, but I think K2 was limited as far as like the size of the band. I think they were more, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well,
They were like more.
we haven't had any complaints, and they have been monitoring, so I don't know if they've had one person, two persons,
Yeah.
three people.
Yeah.
And you made a comment at the public hearing that it wasn't so much the number of people, but it was the intensity
Volume.
of the use of the music and the
Yeah.
loud levels, that type of thing, so.
I mean,
Yeah.
you should be able to keep it. You know, back in the day when we had issues with the Bounty Harbor, it was very amplified and it would go up into the hills and
Right.
everything. And
I think they had like
if you have a little-
full
There
out
was like
rock bands,
sky
like it was
coasters.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more like a rock festival.
concert, yeah.
Right, yeah. We're not doing that. It's very low key.
Right.
And I'll note that you did have 3 neighbors who submitted written documentation that they were in favor and very supportive of this. I appreciate you doing that. We don't always get that. So I don't have any issues. We didn't have anybody raise concerns at the public hearing. I haven't heard any since then.
And your
So-
willingness to go out and make sure,
Absolutely.
send somebody up into Parkview, Woodhaven area, send somebody up, I don't know, whatever areas that would be problematic, just make
Yes,
sure.
100%.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's said. I just would encourage you to be proactive in that versus reactive, because usually if you're reactive, then people are not happy. And you've got a business to run, I understand that. We want your business to be successful, but just balancing that with, the element of noise. And if you have people go up there and listen and try to monitor it the best you can the first time out of the gate, I think is going to be much well-received versus, having problems and then we have to readdress the situation, so.
Would it be in two different places? Would it be in the parking lot and by the pool, or by?
Just by the pool.
Just by the pool. I mean, that's pretty,
It's kind of
Yeah.
isolated.
Isolated.
And there's a little bit of a barrier from the building there too besides, so.
Yeah.
well, I'd move that we go ahead and approve the resolution to allow for this music with the understanding if there are issues that
They
We will
need
address
come
it.
back to the board.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
We will address it.
Well,
Okay.
come back to us.
And I will prepare a resolution for you for the next meeting.
All right, so this agenda item A has been moved in second, so it'll be a 3-0 vote to move forward. And Jim, you will prepare a resolution for the town board?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you
so
both
much.
for coming.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
time.
it.
Appreciate it.
All right, Jim, B, special permit at 2567 Browncroft Boulevard.
Okay, all right, so at your last meeting, which I unfortunately did not attend, on 2/27, February 27th, work session, I think you came to a conclusion that you were comfortable with her proposing 11 units,
Yes.
as she suggested. She reduced it from 12 to 11. Since that point in time, one of your comments was to have us prepare some type of documentation or resolution that you would be comfortable with. So Dick, Tony, and I have been working on that since that date. I've had interaction with Mary and Bob Wynn about, the resolution and how it fits into what they're doing and how they have to deal with what we're doing. So we did prepare that resolution. I think you got copies of it.
Yes.
In the resolution, Mary had also prepared a leasing agreement, which is kind of draconian. I'm not sure I live there based on what she's asking for, but she did prepare that, and we did decide to make that an exhibit or a Schedule A to the resolution, because it really does try to demonstrate that both you and the applicants were trying to ensure that the neighbors are not going to be adversely impacted through the proposed use. She still has a lot of things to do as you were reading through the resolution. She still has to finalize the site plan review process. The planning board's kind of held it in abeyance until such time as the Historic Preservation Board is able to identify the specific architectural details. That will be shared with you as well, so that you have a comfort level on that. She had to get the special permit from you in order to move forward on the other issues.
Right.
So we did prepare that for you. You have it. If you have any questions or if you have any comments or you want to modify it in any way, please let me know. And
Okay, the
I'll do
planning
it.
board, now the planning board was approving how many garages?
Just the units, right.
Just the garages.
And then it handled the parking area, and then they also have to do like a little stormwater treatment area
Right.
based on increasing the parking and everything else. They had kind of,
Right.
obviously, as it was in flux with the number of units and everything else, they've kind of just held it, so it's a held item right now. Once
So-
this board is comfortable,
Would
they have
they-
to come back and finalize the stormwater. and
Would they
all that.
look at fencing or anything? Is that anything?
Yeah, so that was, and that's the other thing I wanted to bring up, because I went back and I watched your meeting just to make sure, because I'd heard some things, and I wanted you to be aware of the fact, and I think I conveyed that in the emails to you today, that when I went back and watched it, she didn't give you the exact discussion that we had with the Historic Preservation Board. The board said they had no problem with a fence if she wanted to put one up. They didn't tell her that she had to, but if she wanted to put one up, they did not like the fence that she's put around her house in terms of it being an historic fence. And those types of fences didn't exist
Right.
when that house was built. And it wasn't in keeping with the historic character. What they told her was she could come back with a fence. They said something to the effect, why don't you just do a stockade fence? That was more in keeping. They did not require her to do a stockade fence. And I think I kind of heard that, or her interpretation was that she had to do that. That's not true.
They just threw out as an example.
That's right, and what I did was, I actually made some copies of the yard. I went out and took some pictures of the yard today, just to show you. There is a fence on the east side of the property. It's not in great shape, but it is an old stockade fence. That's along the former Mary Carriola site.
Yes.
On the west side is the fence that she installed on her property, which they are not in favor of extending along the back. And I don't think the historic board at this point in time is really concerned whether it's a fence or whether it's plantings. But I went out there, it is pretty barren. I thought there was a fence out there at one time that had fallen down. But when I went out and looked at it, I did not see any spots as to where they were. The company that she used for that fence where her house is the same company that makes this other type of fence, other designs. And the board has not seen this yet, but the board may be interested in having something of a more decorative nature that was more in keeping with the historic character of the property. But we're not going to know that until I meet with the board, and we will discuss this on the next meeting on the 4th.
Okay.
So I'll be able to get some input back to you on the fencing issue.
Okay.
But it wasn't, as you were led to believe, that it had to be a stockade fence. That was not true.
From my perspective, my approval, I think, would be conditioned upon a fencing, an approved fencing.
And I think Rob said the same thing, if
Yeah,
I'm not
I mean,
mistaken.
isn't these pictures are very helpful too, especially this time of year, to show what the neighborhood
Right.
would be
Right.
exposed to.
I think it would be a positive. All things considered with the neighbors so close behind her.
There's an issue that was kind of created by the neighbors, and I don't know how
swing set?
The
much of
swing
a
set.
problem it is, but
Yeah.
there's a play set that with a swing set on it, and
Yeah.
the swings come out, and I think they come into
Into the fence.
well, yeah. So
Defense.
we'll have to look at that and see how realistic it is to,
Well, I mean,
You know.
if they're encroaching, they'll have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Pick up the playset and move it a little closer to their,
that's right.
You know.
We're gonna have to look at that as an issue. I think where we are right now is, there's certain components. The house itself, they're looking to get a building permit so they can move forward with a number of units. They've got a lot of work to do in the interior. They've got some minor work to do on the exterior, much of it which has been approved by the historic board. There's a couple things that have not yet been approved. They're still waiting for some renderings to see what it's gonna look like. So that has to be resolved. The planning board still has to sign off on the 12 units. In there, even though there are 11 units, you'll note in the resolution that we said they could still build a 12 unit, the 12th unit being utilized for storage purposes. They had a lot of maintenance equipment. They also had some chairs and tables and stuff in the outside area. And one of the conditions of having that 12th unit is they can't ask for another like storage shed or something of that nature on the site. So there's some controls in there, and she's very comfortable with that as well, so it's not an issue to them.
So there appear to be some fencing options, just
Yeah.
from my experience, that even in a composite material would still be acceptable
to
from
the
a
board.
historic.
Yeah, it's more aesthetics than anything else.
Okay.
And we'll work that out with the board, and I'll get back to you with some ideas.
Okay.
So, and then the other part of that is, when she goes to build, as Mark said, when she goes to build the garages, she's gonna be responsible both for the aesthetic view of the garages, which both boards have to approve still. She also has to do some stormwater management on the site because of the disruption of the pervious material to impervious. So there's things that she has to do yet for you to get final sign-offs.
right,
It's just that I want to make sure you're comfortable with what we prepared,
I am.
and if you want to make any modifications, you're more than welcome to do that.
Just the condition of the fencing.
Yep.
And the historic board working with her to find the
So,
appropriate.
so I know that two board members right off the bat really do want fencing, and I assume you're comfortable with that as well.
Definitely.
So we're going to change that requirement to require a fence of some type along the south
Okay.
property line. If there's anything else you see over the next couple of days or so, please let me know, and we'll get them cleaned up for you.
All right?
All right?
Did you want a motion to proceed as we've discussed?
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate
Right.
just to proceed with the process of finalizing the
Are you making
resolution.
the motion?
I'll make that motion.
I shall second that motion.
Okay, with a motion and a second, it's a 3-0 vote to move forward. And Jim, we will put that in your hands.
Yep, and I will get that final document to you prior to, and you can comment on it.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jim. Moving on to item C, 11 Panorama Trail, request for the abandonment of a portion of a sanitary sewer easement. Mark?
So I was contacted by an attorney earlier last week. This is 11 Panorama Trail. The house has existed since the 50s. The sanitary sewer was put in the 2000s. We put in our standard 20-foot sanitary sewer easement over that. And I kind of highlighted in the, looks olive colored, green is where our easement is. This little sliver of blue is the portion that goes over a portion of their house. So they're asking just for an abandonment of the portion
Sure.
that is on top of the house. They're looking to sell the house. It came up as part of their closing.
Oh.
They just want to...
It's the house that's for sale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just want a clean
Understood.
closing
Yeah.
on that, so obviously we don't want our easement over their house or
No,
as part of
no,
it.
no.
So
That's an easy
we'll
one.
just have to do an abandonment of that little sliver.
All right, do I have a
I move that we
motion and a
accept the
second?
abandonment of 11 Panorama.
All right, we've got a move and a second. The item passes 3-0. And legislative action on that, Mark?
Yeah, I'll have to, a resolution for authorize the supervisor to sign that abandonment and
Okay.
file that amendment.
I will let you get that resolution to the appropriate town board meeting.
The race.
All right, number 7, for informational items, Southeast Bible Baptist Church 5K run, 5K race for Nancy. Jim?
Yes, this is about the 4th time or 5th time they've done this.
Right.
You met with them, I think, the first 2 times. We determined that they'd done such a good job, there was no need to bring them back before you again. And they have done a good job over the years. We've had no complaints. They have off-duty police officers who are part of their congregation assisting them. It's been a well-run operation. We will issue them a permit. We still do notify the neighbors, and they do that. They take care of that. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention because...
Nothing new this year that,
No, it's the exact same operation as before. The first year, they'd done some painting in the street for directional things. We told them they couldn't do that anymore. They've been fine. They went out and bought arrows in certain places along the right of way. So it's been a long run. It generally takes about an hour or an hour and a half from beginning to end. So I just wanted you to be aware of it in case somebody asked. We will be issuing a permit for it. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, that I'm supportive of this. Again, as we have consistently said with these 5K races, just want to make sure that the appropriate first responders, emergency entities are informed and know what's going on should something happen. They need to, get down these particular streets.
Yep.
And so I think they have provided us in the past, or provided you, Jim, or somebody in your staff, some type of documentation that they've notified the ambulance company, they've notified the fire department and the sheriffs, and so nobody's caught off guard from
Got it
an
down to,
emergency responder.
Finally oiled machine.
Yeah,
So-
cool.
thanks.
All right, so Jim, is there any legislative action on that?
No, not really. It was more of an informational item, and
Okay.
you're not responsible for issuing any permits or anything of that nature. So.
All right, so we will proceed ahead with that. Okay, item 8, held items. I don't believe there's any other discussion for those.
Not at this time.
Moving to number 9, old business. Any old business before the meeting tonight?
No.
Hearing none. Item 10, new business. Any new business? Hearing none. Item 11, executive session. That is not needed. And we will move to adjournment. Item 13. The next meeting will be April 10th, 2019. We are adjourned, and thank you, everybody, for attending. Lisa, thank you for your notes. Thank you to staff, and thank you for those watching on PCTV. Have a good evening.
Thank you.